What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. OG here, and we are back with our top starter squad players for every position. Already out are the goalkeepers, wingbacks, center backs, and center defensive mids. Today we are going over our central mids. It could be more defensive deep line playmakers, which could kind of fall into the CDM category, or your more box to box, and even your more attacking mids that could maybe even fall in to center attacking midfield. But these neutral type of players that can run either way in the midfield are unique, and it's a very important position, especially for some players who run a more box to box type of midfielder or even multiple midfielders. So I didn't want to just lump them all together. There are total defensive type of midfielders that you should use in a more number 6-ish role at the furthest, a deep line playmaker role. And then there are more attacking midfielders that have no business going anything further than a cam, right? Because they don't have those defensive abilities, even if they could play CM or even CDM. And so not only will we cover this, but coming up next will be our center attacking midfielders. Now, as we proceed, I want to make sure everybody understands, if you don't already, I am not putting the lower rated players that I know are going to be overpriced. I would just be giving your hopes up. I would just be promoting players that you really shouldn't invest in, right? For center back, it's the best example because those marquee names every year are overpriced. Center back for me is like the number one position that people get suckered into, sinking coins into, only for those players to drop, and then they're stuck in a disadvantage as they try to continue forward and build their team. The players like Van de Ven, okay, I didn't even include him on my original list because he no doubt is going to be way overpriced. LaCroix, another one that is going to be extremely overpriced, even though he's like in the 70s because of that high pace, because on the pitch he performs well as a starter squad center back, which without a doubt, if you pack him, you want to throw him in your squad, despite that lower overall rating, which doesn't mean anything. But again, these are going to be without a doubt overpriced players. So the same thing goes for center mids. However, our first player is a tricky one, and as you've seen in the previous positions, if you watched, I did include some of the tricky ones that may just be worth getting. For example, Luka Modric, now a Serie A player, which is crazy to see after years at Real Madrid, the Croatia international, who is still in a popular league, but it's not Real Madrid anymore. It's not La Liga, and Serie A just isn't as popular. On top of that, Croatia was never like a strong suit for the chemistry that Modric provided. And he's now 83 overrated with the dreaded 68 speed. Anytime you get into the 60s, people tend to run away, right? Or at least look the other way. And this year, everyone's pace went down. So I think there's a lot of players who are going to be shunned away because of their pace without people realizing that it was a game-wide nerf of a lot of players pace-wise, right? Not to mention with the way the game plays this year, where positioning is key and where players with stronger stats will actually show in game. Like, for instance, 86 dribbling, 86 passing for a starter card for an 83 rated card more than makes up for that 68 pace. Even the 74 shooting, 70 defense, 62 physical, you can get away with playing Modric as a deep line playmaker despite having that super low defense, just because he's so good in the passing and dribbling department. He would more than make up for maybe those defensive flaws with what he does on the attacking side. You could also get away with playing him as a cam but playmaker, not a shadow striker. That lack of speed will hurt him there, but more as a true number 10, where he's not really looking to book it and get in second runs behind the striker, but he's more looking to be like a quarterback. But I think his best position would be in that CM playmaker role, if you can afford to put him there. The 68 pace goes to 78, 76 with a shadow, and that 70 defense goes to like 78 or something like that. So with a shadow, he's right there for a starter card. And then you have those super high passing and dribbling stats. You can't go wrong. So if Modric is affordable, which there's a good chance he could be, you should absolutely grab him without a doubt. Don't let that 68 pace turn you off. Don't let that lower defensive stat turn you off either if you're looking for a more defensive player. You can make an exception for 86 passing and 86 dribbling because he will more than make up for his defensive faults in the attack. Next up, the French international from Ligue 1 Marseille, Rabiot. A very good central midfielder every single year. Starter squads especially. 81 pace, 79 shooting, 81 passing, 80 dribbling, 77 defense, and 84 physical. He is a Goretzka type, but in my opinion, better on the ball. Better if he's moving forward. So, yes, you could absolutely put him as a true number 6 if you wanted, or a deep-lying playmaker, which may be his best position, but it also may be that box-to-box role. Now, remember, there's also the new player role of box crasher, which essentially gives that deep-lying playmaker a next level up. Now that central midfielder becomes all the way attacking, making runs from deep into the box, and that absolutely can be helpful. And you got a guy like Rabiot that's insane on defense for a starter card and has insane shooting. Now, is he going to be higher priced? Yes. But because of that great overall stat range that he has, where he can just be everywhere and serve you on both offense and defense, he's worth paying a little bit more for. He's actually one of the biggest sleeper cards out of all of these positions, all of these starter cards I'm showing you. So yes, you don't want to play Van de Ven type, pay Van de Ven type prices for Rabiot, but if he's a little bit more and you can afford it, this man will bring it in the center of the midfield for you. And he can play everywhere, right? From CDM all the way up to Cam, he can have you covered. And sticking to the less defensive, more offensive type of box-to-box, central mid, neutral players, we are moving to Sunset. Now, again, I didn't include these players in CDM or CAM because some of these players could absolutely dominate playing that box-to-box role. Think of this position like it would be owned by players such as Bellingham, okay? Absolute beast that can come deep, help out defensively, and help carry the ball like a point guard if you know anything about basketball, and spark the attack. That is what Modric can do. That is what Sunset can do. Lower pace, not as low as Modric, 76, 83 shooting, 80 pace, 85 dribbling, 70 defense, 82 physical. And then you have this, 188 centimeters. So he is an absolute monster. Think also like Goretzka. However, with where Goretzka's ratings at now, I would put him more as a CDM. But think of Goretzka like more towards his prime and how he could run the game on the defensive side of things and the offense. For starter teams, Sunset, Modric, they can do that. So keep Sunset on your radar. Yes, he's Spain. Yes, he's La Liga. And that very well with the higher overall for like a non-high value, let's call him. He is a high-rated, low-level starter card, if that makes sense. He's not going to be in those marquee names that everyone wants to go for starter cards. That's for sure going to be overpriced. He still could be, but there's a chance that he's affordable, and if he is, you want to pick him up. And moving on to Chelsea, Argentina, midfield superstar, Fernandez. Another 68 pace player, but 75 shooting, 85 passing, 81 dribbling, 73 defense, 75 physical. Picture him like a lower rated Modric as far as the likelihood of him being overpriced, right? There is a chance, but that dreaded 60-something pace, whether it's 61 or 68, players tend to shun away from these types of players. Not to mention he doesn't have the highest defensive stats, and so if players are either looking for that more all-out cam with higher shooting, higher passing, or all-out defense where, they want to have upper 70s to 80s in defense, Players like Fernandez, Modric, Sunset, these guys can easily be overlooked. So another player to put on your radar, Fernandez. Now I included Camavinga in the CDM discussion because of his higher defense and because if you've ever used Camavinga, you know he's a beast on the defensive side of things. Not quite a Tchouaméni, but for starter cards, he could absolutely play that number 6 role. However, if you use him, you also know he can be a great box-to-box, whereas Tchouaméni, straight number 6, wasn't included in the CDM talk because he's 100% going to be overpriced. Even back when he was in Ligue 1, he was higher valued. But now at Real Madrid, it's just, it's pointless unless you want to pay a ridiculous amount. Camavinga, though, is on that cusp, right? You don't know. He could very well be overpriced. French international, just like Tchouaméni. Real Madrid, just like Tchouaméni. Just not an all-out defensive player. But I wanted to include him because he's 83 rated, and you never know. Just be aware that he's out there. Keep track of his price. And if you can somehow pick him up, just know you have a beast. Now moving on to a very interesting card. DePaul. Any other year, he'd be one of those players that's on the cusp, just like Sunset, Camavinga, Modric, even though he's not as popular as those other guys, like him and Sunset would be the exact same, where if the players just look at stats, he's definitely going to be higher priced, but he could also very well be overlooked. Well, now that he's not in La Liga, the Argentina International being in MLS helps him become more of an affordable starter squad player. At 75 pace, 78 shooting, 83 passing, 83 dribbling, 76 defense, and 83 physical. Standing at 180 centimeters, he is a presence. If you've ever used DePaul in the center of the midfield, you know he can be a dominant force. He can absolutely turn the tides of games just by constantly winning the ball, constantly pushing dangerous runs, or sending those cutting passes, threading the needle to create goal-scoring opportunities. I mean, he's just a beast. Just like these other guys. Only difference, he's in a league that is not going to help many players at all. Therefore, if you can somehow connect him chemistry-wise with Argentina, he will no doubt be a steal. And one of my most intriguing players I found in the midfield area, at least, Ederson. Obviously not the keeper, but you see there, Serie A, Brazil International, 78 pace, 72 shooting, 77 passing, 80 dribbling, 80 defense, 81 physical, and 182 centimeters. Now, the interesting part is I don't think Ederson has the CDM position. That's not guaranteed, but back before the positions got all messed up, when CDM was still listed for whatever reason, there's a glitch or something and it's not for any player. But he still didn't have it then. We will have to see when the game comes out. He could still be a great box deep line playmaker that no doubt will be a great price. And he is absolutely eligible for evolutions. You can just tell without knowing the exact evolution. There will be evolutions that make this player a beast. He's just one or two from becoming, depending on what time of the game they come, from becoming a standout center midfielder. So, whether you play him right away or just put him on the bench, I would go after this Ederson card without a doubt. And last but not least, we finish with two women who, if you've seen my previous videos, you know what I said. If not, I'll tell you right now. I think women for FC26 are going to be the secret weapon because of the added physical side on offense, because of the sharper dribbling, sharper jockeying, which is, of course, going to really benefit those smaller, more compact players, as just naturally in the game, they are always more reactive, more responsive. But EA Sports wants the bigger players to be, more equal, because in real-life football, they do have their value. It's not like everyone just goes after small players. And so they add the physical side to make it more relevant. Well, these smaller women players have, some of them, the benefit of being both. Because the stats are relative, like meaning the strongest woman, she might be 5'6", but have 95 physical. And she's going to be every bit as strong as a Holland, who's much bigger, towering over her, but he might have 95 physical too, with 95 strength to her 95 strength. and they will be exactly the same as far as who's going to push who off the ball. Holland will have advantage in the air, naturally because of the height, but everything else, the women's player, you'd have to give her the advantage because she's not only small and compact and having the benefits of that world, but she's also got the physical side. Well, Greggy's not exactly a physical specimen, but it's 73 physical with 84 pace, 71 shooting, 73 passing, and 85 dribbling, 76 defense. She is an absolute beast. She could easily be a number 6, a deep line playmaker, a box-to-box, a box crasher. She could play all the roles. Even a wide half at 94 pace, or 84 pace goes up to roughly 94, 92, whatever with a hunter shadow. You can put her in any of the positions, right? In the center of the midfield. So keep an eye out on the women's players, and in particular for central midfield, Greggy is an absolute beast. Now, last but not least, the women's Real Madrid German international Dabritz. 170 centimeters, so not nearly as small as many of the women, but still small enough, compact enough where you know she's going to be great on the ball, especially with 86 dribbling. To boot, she has 84 passing and 81 shooting, 77 pace, 74 defense, 73 physical. An absolute monster. Women typically aren't as valued as the men, especially when they don't have the marquee names. Now, being Real Madrid could pose an issue if you're looking for Dabritz at a very cheap price. German international, pretty popular, but that's not the end of the world. You could still get her for a good value if it was just Germany. So the biggest thing to worry about is that Real Madrid tag on her. However, if you can afford Dabritz and she's not outrageous, she will be a monster again, just like Greggy. But I would actually put her above Greggy as one of the best central midfielders you can get. Even above those big names that I talked about at the beginning. Your Modric, your DePaul, your Rabiot, your Sanset. I take Dabritz over every one of them. And not only that, but you have to remember, I already called that women will be secret weapons in FC26, particularly the smaller but also strong women that will get the boost and the physical side that is brought in FC26, as well as the boost with the tighter dribbling, the better jockeying that's going to benefit those smaller, more compact players. So if you get that smaller, strong woman, which 73 physical, like with Greggy, isn't the strongest, but for a starter card, and with the other stats, the abilities of both Greggy and Dabritz make them possibly must-have cards as long as they aren't outrageous in price, which women, just in general, are typically not as expensive because they just aren't as popular. So you have that factor as well, which means that you can make a women's team that's a beast team for much cheaper. So keep that in mind. And with that being said, we have completed the list of top central midfielders for your starter squads. If you enjoyed this video or it was helpful, please smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It means a lot and it helps a lot. And last but not least, if you'd like to support the channel while getting incredible perks and benefits, please check out our YouTube memberships and the Discord membership. For only $2.99 a month, you can get all the help you can get in every area of FC26 and beyond. The link is in the YouTube bio, or just search OGamester FC in Discord. We'll see you next time. Peace out.